The ghosts of Bao Loc Pass. The dark night and the desolate road. The cold wind howled through the trees, lining the narrow, winding road of Bao Loc Pass. It was a pitch-black night, and only the dim headlights of a lone truck flickered on the asphalt. Hi, an experienced truck driver gripped the wheel tightly, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. The silence was unsettling. Suddenly, an eerie chill ran down his spine. In the rearview mirror, he saw a faint white figure sitting on the back of his truck. Long black hair cascaded down, covering its face. His heart pounded in his chest. He whipped around to look, but there was no one there. Cold sweat beaded on his forehead. He forced himself to believe it was just his imagination. But when he glanced back at the mirror, the figure was still there. This time it slowly lifted its head, revealing a pale, ghostly face. The eye sockets were deep and hollow, like bottomless pits. Its lips moved as if whispering something, but no sound came out. Then suddenly it grinned, an unnaturally wide grin stretching from ear to ear. Hai let out a scream, slammed the accelerator, and sped down the winding pass, not daring to look back. The haunting laughter in the night. The truck roared through the mountain road, but the fear-gripping Hai did not subside. His breathing was ragged, and his knuckles turned white as he clutched the steering wheel. Then he heard it, a soft giggle. At first it was faint, barely distinguishable from the rustling wind, but soon it became clearer, growing louder. It was a woman's laughter. No, it was multiple women laughing together. The sound, once sweet, twisted into something distorted and unnatural. It echoed unnervingly in the night, surrounding Hai from all directions. It seeped into his mind, raising goosebumps all over his body. He checked the mirror again. The ghostly woman was back. But this time she was no longer just sitting still. Her mouth opened wide, too wide. No sound came from her gaping maw, only the dreadful laughter that grew louder and more distorted. Then in an instant she disappeared. Just as Hai was about to sigh in relief, he saw her again, standing on the roadside ahead. He panicked, swerved sharply, nearly crashing into the guardrail. But when he looked back, she was gone. Only the suffocating darkness remained. The mysterious accident. Hai's heart pounded violently, but he forced himself to focus. He needed to get off this cursed road. Just then, the truck ahead of him came to a sudden stop. Hai slammed the brakes, but it was too late. He crashed into the back of the vehicle. Before he could react, a soft knocking sound echoed through the cabin. Knock, knock, knock. The sound came from the side window. Slowly, dreading what he would see, Hai turned his head. A pale face was pressed right against the glass. The ghost's empty, soulless eyes stared straight into his. A skeletal hand reached up and lightly traced its fingers down the glass, leaving long, jagged scratches. The sound was unbearable, like nails dragging across a chalkboard. Then her mouth opened. But instead of words, an ear-piercing shriek erupted from her gaping maw. Worse still, her lips had stretched unnaturally far, ripping apart at the edges to reveal rows of blackened, rotting teeth. Hai scrambled to open the door and tumbled out onto the pavement. When he looked back, she was gone, but her handprint remained on the window, ice-cold and fading. Hai hesitated before approaching his truck again. But as he got closer, something made his blood run cold. All over the vehicle's body were long, deep scratches. At first, they seemed random, but then Hai realized they formed a face, a twisted, deformed face with hollow eyes and a grotesquely wide mouth. A soft knock echoed again, but this time it came from above. With dread pooling in his stomach, Hai tilted his head upward. The ghost was crawling on top of the truck. She clung to the vehicle, her limbs bent at unnatural angles, resembling a spider. Her hair dangled down, swaying gently. Her eyes locked onto his. Then, in an instant, she let go, plummeting straight toward him. But before she hit the ground, she vanished. Hai stumbled back, his breath ragged. He didn't waste another second. He jumped into his truck, floored the accelerator, and sped away, not daring to stop. Warnings from other drivers. Hai finally reached a roadside rest stop. His face was pale, his hands still trembling. Several other truck drivers sat nearby, sipping tea and chatting. He hesitated before speaking, but then, in a shaking voice, he recounted everything that had happened. Instead of shock, the men exchanged grim looks. One of them sighed. "You saw her too, huh? The ghost of this pass. She's been here for years." Another driver nodded. "I once saw her standing in the middle of the road. I honked, but she didn't move. When I got closer, she suddenly turned her head, completely backward. I almost drove off the cliff. A third man added, "People say she was a woman who died here in a terrible accident. Since then, she's been wandering the pass looking for company." Hai shuddered. He knew one thing for sure. She was still there, waiting for her next victim.